Apex Esports League. I'm JT. Tonight we're live on iRacing for the Pagnian Imports GTE Championship. Tonight is round 4, so that sees us at WeatherTech Raceway at Laguna Seca. The session for Laguna Seca, we've got 10 minutes practice, weather conditions mostly cloudy, qualifying is 10 minutes, the race 40 minutes, and the car's capped at 47%. Fuel will force a pit stop to be able to get that car to the finish line, and it is rolling starts for the GTE Championship. Our standings as of round 3, Sebastian Vandel with a very close lead on the championship, only just 3 points ahead from Blake Urquhart. So could we potentially see a move in the standings tonight? I'm sure Seb will be working hard to try and push that gap out heading into the final round. The last week's results were at Suzuka for round 3, and then we saw Blake Urquhart take the win after qualifying in 7th, and then Sebastian Vandel took the fastest lap bonus points. Bring up our track map. So it's 3.57 kilometers in the USA for Laguna Seca. There's a whole bunch of cars out on track already, so we'll jump over trackside now and see how they're faring in the open practice, because there's about 5 minutes left to the session. Welcome to all jumping on the stream. Oh, a little bit of a slide there. Here's a car that is. We'll bring up some details so we can see what's going on. That's Tony Phillips. Probably going to be a fair bit of marbles on the track. There's plenty of dirt out there, and especially with the track limits for Laguna Seca, you can really push the limits and trying to get as much of that curbing to utilize the full amount of track that you have available. You can take a little bit of dirt, but then that's going to throw those marbles out on track and cause a few little slippery bits, especially at the corkscrew, as it's a blind crest as you go straight down, trying to find that line. We got 25 drivers loading in at the moment. Oh, big slide. Got loose at the corkscrew. No damage taken. That's Sam Tucker. Haven't seen him on track for a little while. See him back. That's Ricky Hyde having some dramas. Not sure if that was a little bit of air wash from the car he was tailing in behind, and then a little bit of object fixation going on as they ran a little bit wide as well. And we're getting times through now. It's Blake Urquhart coming in with a 1:19.6, big turnaround for Piccoli, just ahead of some traffic as well. Quite a bit of traffic. Oh, that curb unsettled that Ferrari for Buckland. Causing that car to run wide, but still under power. Dropping that tyre from the dirt, putting it into a spin. Don't forget, jump in the chat, say hello, let us know who you're here to cheer on for the stream. And there's those sound effects controls you can use down underneath. I'll play those effects over the chat. Change your paint for, I'm not sure if that's generic paint coming through. Trading paint says having a drama. Everyone else is coming through. Harvey exiting the pits. There's a minute left to the session. Brendan Myers also got in with a 1:19.7. It's just 2 tenths quicker than Blake. Myers had some fantastic pace in that Porsche for the series. He was Was met with a bit of bad luck in the early rounds. And is having a good comeback. Simpson's third quickest. There's 30 seconds left to the practice. Pretty sure a lot of the drivers not getting a whole lot of GTE practice in, as everyone is gearing up for the Bathurst 12-hour on iRacing this weekend. Gander's got in the fourth quickest time. He's having some trouble there. He's done a 120.3. So the quickest driver of the 120s is Simpson. Oh, that's a big blink out for Bartosz. Not sure if that was just his latency or perhaps a little bit of the session preparing to hang over. They'll be scrambling super quick out on track now. Oh, one of the drivers just going out wide from that pit exit, the other end of the pits. You can see from that blimp view, it is quite the go trail to get out of the pits. It's a pretty high incident area just to get out. It's quite easy to drop a tyre off as you're trying to get out there pretty quick, and you lose a fair bit of visibility as you come out as well. Going down that descent from pit exit can really catch you off guard. We've got Nathan Peters making a return after a bit of absence. Let's see him back on track again. He just runs wide. Actually might go to cockpit view here. See, go over. Quite intense pit exit. And some drivers may have their view a little bit different, so you can lose sight of that left line. Seb hasn't actually qualified too strongly in all the races, struggling to get in a good qualifying time, but then has a big comeback throughout the race. However, we're now with only a 3-point lead on the championship. He's going to have to be working hard to try and get those qualifying points. If he didn't actually get the fastest lap bonus points last week, which is worth 10 points, he wouldn't have actually had that championship lead after last week's round. So he's going to have to work for every bit of point that he can get if he wants to head into the final round with the championship lead. Pretty sure it's going to be a decider round next week. First time's in, Simpson just lands a 120.2. It's a very similar time to what he was doing in the practice. He wasn't able to break through and join the 119s. He only had 2 drivers in the 119s, but then he was the first of the quickest in the 120 margin. There we go, Seb, straight up. So it's a pole time of 119.5. Time for Haitley, but it's not showing as fast as that previous lap. Appears to be a 127.8, so he's on a conservative lap. Hopefully some more better luck tonight. He got caught up in that significant roll last week. That stationary car rolling forward as he came round that blind bend. Change in pole time. Urquhart just sets a 1:19.3. So his championship's going to be in strong contention tonight. Only a 3-point difference between Urquhart and Van Del. This is starting up. Lap potentially. We'll try and jump aboard for a lap around because we've got half the session remaining. Seth Brown doing well. Car moving out of the way. Tony Phillips landing a 1:23.7. There's only a small handful. I haven't got a qualifying time in. Parked up. Not sure if he's going to be bringing that car in for a back to the pits. Lead change. 19.3 for Urquhart. Simpson's been bumped down multiple spots now. I love a lead change. Van Del takes pole back. 19.266. For Urquhart's 19.346. A strong qualifying position for Van Del is going to be very important now. He's going to have to replicate this run in the race. Lynn's just moved up. Brown's moved up. Bartish and Hyde. Myers just joined in as well. So now got 4 drivers in with 19s. So it was Lynn getting in a 19.9. Oh, a bit of contact. Not sure whose car that was, but it's be some damage to Lynn as well. I think it was Buckland that was going off track. It's caught him off guard. It's a pretty nifty looking car for Bartish as well. It's a livery change. Got the boxing rule on the car. There we got Cochrane commencing a lap. So we'll jump on board now before the session ends. Hopefully we haven't jinxed him here. He's done 1:20.4. 3. Fast long pitch straight down into a very sharp double apex hairpin. And there's always a fair bit of debris on that pit exit area. And usually marbling on this corner from that previous corner, so you can take the corner rather wide. You can take a bit of dirt just to really nail that line for that next turn in. A lot of feathering here. This is where that curb's caught a few drivers off in the practice session. And on a crest as you're trying to find your apex. You actually got to look off into the distance to try and pick your marker. And same here as you try and weave across to the right, ready for the infamous corkscrew. And then you just pick that tree off the side and then line it up for that corner. Nice pace for gear. It's nearly 200 kilometers an hour through those corners. They are very quick, and the final hairpin is where a lot of time can be made up. This is going to be a pretty decent time. It's a 1:20.155. That's just moved him up about 4 positions. Cochrane will be in position 6 at the moment. It's on board for a very tidy lap. And Varndell's going to be liking things at the moment. Brown's just come through, stealing position 2. So that pole position was being swapped back and forth between Urquhart and Varndell. Oh, Urquhart's just lost the big slide. That's going to be his qualifying done and dusted. Lynn having a bit of fun with the car. Not sure if he'd already taken some damage. We had an off track. Decided just to finish that car up. Just crosses the line in time. There'll be enough time to possibly get one more lap in. Maybe tight. That's done for Cochrane. No improvement on that qualifying position. Currently there's only 5 seconds separating 23 cars. We've got 27 registered in. There's a few late joiners. Oh, he's got a bad line down for that corkscrew. Not sure if that's going to invalidate the time. I'm suspecting it will. A few people having dramas. Gallen's just having fun. Oh, there's a car in the road. Or he might just be coming in the joining with some burnouts. So we'll take a look at those qualifying results now. So for round 4 at Laguna Seca, Sebastian Varndell takes pole position, breaking into the 1:18.3. So it's quite a very impressive time for Varndell. And then Seth Brown at 1:19, and the rest of the grid will then be Blake Urquhart, Royce Lynn, Dan Bartish, Mark Cochrane, Brendan Meyer, Ricky Hyde, Adrian Simpson, Damien Cross, and then we'll look through all the way through to position 27. Later joiners not getting a time. Peter's not getting in a qualifying time as well, so seeing him start in position 24. That's session booting over now. Be interesting just to see how far back get everyone starting for the rolling start. I'm pretty sure that's back down into the final corner. So 9 cars to ready up. There's 50 seconds to get themselves sorted. And they're actually on pit straight. I'm sure we'll get to see a full formation lap. If the drivers haven't practiced the start, they could be potentially caught off guard as to when it's going to go green. So they can actually pass before control line as soon as the green flag is out. Telling position 2 that cannot pass the leader before the control line. Then you also got to know where that control line is. That's waiting on Buckland, Hodgkinson. Oh, he's now ready. Boylett and Banks. It's 1 second, so there could be potential for some pit starting. Not sure what's going on with Buckland. He's having some dramas. There may have been a disconnect. The data is still mixed up over there. We're going to get a full lap here. Hey Jurassic Jam, thanks for jumping on the stream. Having to play caution not to make any contact during the formation lap. I'm getting no reports of any off tracks or contacts. They're all playing very cautious. At least they're going to have a bit more chance to try and warm up those tyres. Some nice static cam shots around Laguna Seca as they are gearing up for race start. Safety car will be coming in now. He almost forgot to go off into the pit exit. Sorry, pit entry. I'm getting my ins and outs all wrong here.
Green.
So it's green, so they can now pass. It's only Sebastian that has to cross that control line first, and he does so right now, so it's all go for everyone. Looks like there's been some rubbing going on. Not sure if there's a car that's dropped back or not. There's a car that's just gone off, that's furlough. There's a fair bit of touching going on. That's a huge, big stack. They recovered quickly. Look like Furlough's having dramas again. Buckland hasn't started at all. They managed to recover pretty quickly. Looks like another car going off as well. Those cold tyres causing dramas. Oh, look at that big slide in the background. That is cross. I don't know if there was too many that were mixed in amongst each other. There might have been taps after some slides. Interesting if you couldn't get through first 3 corners before seeing safety car back out on track. It's Vandel and Brown. Look at Urquhart starting to probe for weaknesses around Brown. He's around a little bit wide. He's going to lose a lot of pace that he is getting to get closer to that tail. And again, this is going to be a big opportunity now for Lynn. He's going to be able to close that gap in. I'm pretty sure, actually, that's what's probably going on, why there's not a paint on that car. Lynn was running the BMW for the series. There's been a changing car. drivers are required to use that same model for the whole series. Those points will be void earned in it. Lynn doing exceptionally well in that Porsche. And he was carving up in that BMW last week. Having a good run up the front. And then pit stop causing some dramas. Some close battling going on between Haitley and Tucker. Tucked right in behind Piccoli. He's looking for that inside line, go for a move on the hairpin. Seth leaves the door open. Schooler moves up in position. Hodgkinson doing well. I don't think he got a qualifying time in. So he's moved up to P9. So it's Buckland, Boylett and Banks. So what's going on with Buckland? Arnie's in the pits. Doesn't look like a tow. Furlow also in pits. Two very lengthy stops. There are fast repairs available. Still tight up through the front. Meyer also closing in. Very long stop for Arnie and Furlow. Simpson's been in and used a fast repair by the looks of things. Only a 4.8 second stop. Blake Gallen also looking to be doing the same, as did Damien Cross. There's contact between Roslyn and Blake Urquhart. Vondel and Brown both pulling away now. Flynn moving up in the P3. He's also dropped back a little bit after whatever tangle was going on between himself and Urquhart. Urquhart was struggling with a few wide off tracks, so if there's been a spin and a close proximity, ended up being a bit of touch. Meyer has Lynn in his sights. That previous lap, nearly a second quicker. Fastest laps, he's also about a second quicker. So can he make his way through to that front end? Still in the pits. He's probably parked the car up. Oh, big slide for Vondel. Just narrowly gets out of the way for Brown as he makes his way through. Vondel's main concern, championship-wise, is just trying to at least finish ahead of Urquhart. With Urquhart's Previous dropping positions that saw him drop to position 6. Vandel's error, seeing him drop to P4. That has Seth Brown in the lead. He's got 2.2 second gap between himself and Lynn. Stop for Peters, but coming in and around this point is going to be sufficient to take on that fuel and finish out the race. And if it's still a little bit crowded out there, maybe an opportunity, get off the track, get that pit out of the way, and then just focus on getting that remainder of the race done and dusted. Crunch. I think I'm not sure. Yeah, it's Josh Harvey's just had an off. Not sure if there's a touch between another driver. He's dropping a fair few positions. Register showing there's contact with Cochrane. The car just goes into a slide. An off-track causing some dirty tyres. Struggling with the car at the moment, or even contending with a bit of damage. Could be on with Harvey in a position not too far from that pit entrance, so won't be too much lost time. Use that fast repair, grab that fuel now. The car will last out the remainder of the 30.5 minutes. Million off track. A few dramas going on for Burkhart's going to see Tucker and Bartosz both close in really quickly. Looks like we've got Porsches dominating the first 4 positions. Look at Meyer starting to put some pressure on Lynn. Lynn's going to have to start playing defensive here. Gearbox here. Royce Porsche pulls away nicely out of that corner. Lynn hunting him down. Scrapes on that right rear wheel guard. Oh, big lock. Misjudges the corkscrew, nearly diving down in front of Meyer and Vandel. That would have been a significant incident. Vandel straight into that inside line on Meyer. He's not going to be a good position here. Meyer's going to have a good opportunity to try and defend that line. He's picked that inside line. Oh, there's super close draft between these three. This battle for position 2 is going to bode very well for Brown. All these guys are well occupied with each other. He's pushing out this gap. Brown now leading by 3.6 seconds. Win. Lock of the brakes for Meyer. We see Sebastian take a pass as Meyer decides to go off into the pits. Bell moves up into position 2, Lynn position 3. That will be the first of the race leaders to get that pit out of the way. 6 minutes away from the halfway point. Arnie's had to have a tow. Furloughs. Yeah, he's back out on track, so he must have been towing at that point. It might be a very long tow at Laguna Seca. And if he's only come back out in those last few laps, he's got enough fuel to last out the race. So some lap traffic. Sure whose car that is. It was one of the pink ones. It's Tony Phillips. Lint right on that tail. Almost some bump drafting going on. These blue flag conditions. Oh, little rub in the corner between Urquhart and Lynn. Lynn had that line, moved straight in and covered it. Can't get a whole lot closer than that. Focusing on Meyer coming back out, so he's in position 8. Right ahead of him is Haley. So come out from that battle from position 2. Ends up in position 8, 30 seconds from the race lead. So very quick in and out for that pit stop. A gap for Brown dropping down. Vandel is closing that in super quick. Vandel doesn't necessarily need to try and fight for the win from Brown, but to try and put as many positions between himself and Urquhart for that championship. Just have a little bit of a safety net coming into the final round. Will be very beneficial. So Urquhart's come in for a pit. 9.9 seconds. We had Meyer setting 9.6. That's taking any tyres, just that splash of fuel to get through the rest of the race. How close these races can finish. That extra second taking on fuel can definitely break a race for them. Some more lap traffic, is that? Sure, whose car is that? Yeah, it must be Phillips. He's caught with him before. He's been in for a pit. He's taken 9 seconds, so he's grabbed his fuel by the looks of things. Brand now in as well. Brown's made a bit of an error. He's just dropped it back a position. Looks like at the first hairpin. Still nearly half a second lead. Dropped down to now trailing behind Varndale by 1.3 seconds. Huge blink out for Schooler. He's vanished off my telemetry. Oh, he turns across, gets a little bit loose, makes contact with Blake Gallen. It's over. I think it's Furlow. It's Arnie's still in the pit, so it must be a very long tow. Sounds like there's a car idle nearby. Bill's really pushing this Porsche. His previous lap looks to be the fastest lap of the race. Into the pits he comes. So he's done a 19.287. He's done well to make claim to the fastest lap of the race. Every point he's going to need. Take pole position. Fastest lap. And if he can go on to take the win, get the clean sweep tonight, could be enough to put at least that good bit of safety net in championship points. Lynn takes the lead. Bartish in position 2. Tucker position 3. These two have been keeping about this same gap for a fair bit. Ooh, big blink out for Bartish. And Varndale re-enters 20.6 seconds away. Saw Meyer do that. He came out about 30 seconds. Almost 1 second longer in the pit stall compared to the other lead drivers. It was a 10.5 second stop. Lynn stays out on track. There's 18 minutes to go. Probably about 10 minutes left before they possibly have to start really looking to come in and pit. They would be able to last out a bit longer. While Lynn's got the lead and a good amount of traffic, a gap of traffic ahead. Try and capitalise on that. get those lap times down. His fastest lap in the race is a 19.941. His previous lap was a 122. I feel he's going to be getting a little bit light, so he could be fighting with a little bit of a loose car. Yes, he's going to bring that in. If those lap times are dropping like that, be beneficial to do that. May be able to come out relatively close. I don't think he'll be able to hold a lead, but he's going to come out pretty close, possibly around Brown's position. He's in 5th at the moment. See Blake Gallen up on the jacks there. Rundell is up into P3. So it's Brown. Lynn's making his way out now. That's Blake Gallen ahead of him. That is Blake Gallen is in position 17. He's currently a lap down. Let's see, it's Bartosz in the lead. Oh, will he come in? So we've had 3 lead changes. Sorry, 4 leads. Bartosz leading for 1 lap. Vandel for 7. Brown for 7. And Lynn for 2. Fair few drivers get to come in and pit. Tucker and Bartosz still holding that gap. Ooh, big blink there. We've lost him completely. That's going to make things a little bit sketchy for Tucker to try and make a move on him. When the car vanishes like that, the game's going to be at least registering a track position for him, then reappear it. And if you make a move and then all of a sudden that car appears right in front of you or on top of you, it's going to put you into a huge lag incident. Tucker's dropped back a little bit through that last sector. He comes into the pits. Bartosz stays out for another lap. And he's got some big lag issues going on. Hyde and Simpson starting to close in a little bit. Looks like Hyde may have gained a little bit that previous sector. Simpson's carried a heap of speed down through that corkscrew in those following 2 corners. Definitely be pushing on pretty hard here. Must be Gallen in the pits. Yeah, because we just saw Hyde and Simpson gain a position. Here's John Gallen. We do have the 2 Gallons in here. Vandel being the only front runner that's been in for a pit. He's got a nice gap at the moment between himself and Brown. It's about 2 to 3 seconds. It's putting Vandel a couple of spots away from Urquhart. It's going to be a little bit of a gap. Fastest lap bonus points is definitely going to be able to help here. Yeah, Bartosz Now in the pits, grabbing that fuel to make it a very fast splash of fuel. Gander still going out on track, not yet taking fuel, as is Hodgkinson. Saw some mouse who could actually jump. Screen from there, got my pointer back. Gandale leading by 2.5 seconds. There's it's under 11 minutes left to go. Current positions, Arnie, third stop in. I think there's been a couple of toes. Not sure if he's been caught up in anything. I think there's been a lot of single car stuff going on later. Maybe a few early on incidents causing dramas. We've got Banks and Boylet not making the starts. That's 27-26 and Buckland 25th. Arnie 24th. Brand 23rd. I think that's also a toe that's going on for him. Thurlow in 22nd. Piccoli 21st. And off track. Peters P20. Harvey's 19th. Phillips P18. Cochrane in 17th. Cross 16th. Blake Gallen 15th. Schooler very close. Looks like Blake Gallen putting on some big pace. He might be going for an opportunity to pass. Setting himself up for a nice line. He had the drop speed to make sure there was no touch in that corner. Schooler P14 and being strongly contested by Blake Gallen. Simpson 13th. Up ahead we have Haley in 12th. I think that's lap traffic in front of him and they move aside. Hodgkinson's in 11th. John Gallen P10. Hyde P9. Bartis makes an error. That's going to open up. Well, that's nice. Actually, that's a lap car. So he's not going to lose the position there. And Tucker in 7th. Russell Gander pitting very late. He's actually the last car to come in and grab fuel. He's done that throughout the series. He's got the fuel use in this car doing very well. So he's in P7. We'll be dropping a couple of spots here as the others come through. We've got Tucker P6. Lynn P5. Looks like he's got some lap traffic up ahead. As the next car in position ahead is Meyer. There's about 4.4 second gap. P3 is Urquhart. Brown P2. Looks that left rear as he comes into the corkscrew. Vardell, our championship leader by only 3 points, is looking to set himself a clean sweep for round 4. 5.8-second gap. Getting some weird data here for Brown. I think there may have been a bit of a blink out. Error for Vardell, and he's got that nice gap. He's going to lose a couple of seconds. Landers just got to ensure he doesn't lose that focus. You can really lose your rhythm with a slight error. You can put that rest of that lap completely out of whack until you really hone yourself back in on that focus. Very late pit, comes back out in a top 10 position. I really lost 3 or 4 positions. To really have this Ferrari dialed in. And he's closing in. Gallen's caught behind Peters, so that's blue flag. And he's trying to move across to the inside at the same time that Gallen's looking to make a pass on the inside. So he came in with a bit of aero wash, that's cost him. I'm not sure if that's a little bit of damage on the front left of the car as well. See it, I think it's actually in the front of the car. Four minutes to go. We're seeing lap times being done. Minute 19.5 by Vardell. So even with a little bit of a mistake, that lap was a 19.5. Vardell really pushing himself for some huge pace. Chopper as we are trying to keep up with Vardell's pace at the moment. You can see a very different line that catches drivers off on that final corner. We're not trying to take too much of that inside curb. It's a great run. So even that lap he just did was a 19.7. And that fastest lap of the race is a 19.2. All drivers to get into the 19s for the race. Here's Brown, Urquhart, Meyer and Lynn. Second quickest time is Maya with a 19.7, so only about half a second difference. I think that's Peters letting the traffic through. So a lot of single incidents going on for the drivers. Needing to try and get around some lap traffic. Tucks in to get a little bit of a draft, swings out. That's a big blink for Schooler. Where are we going to get him back? Look at that. Nearly halfway up pit straight. Lost him at the corner exit. And that'd be Tucker. That's right behind him. It's a blue flag shown for Schooler. Arnie in pits, as is Brand and Furlow. They've had a fair bit of time in the pits. Not a whole lot of luck for them. Oh, luck at the brakes, the car behind. Oh, Nurkart, what has he done? There's a tap of the brakes. He's put him into a lock. That was a wild spin. Manages to save himself. He cannot afford another mistake like that, because this will be white flag now. There's only 9 seconds left. 20 seconds away. Lynn is right on his tail. Furkart trailing 3 points from the championship. He needs to try and keep as many positions close to Vandel. Otherwise, could easily push that championship well out of the way. Lynn's right in that draft. He pokes around. Vandel's made an error. Brown's caught in. Unless they're slowing down to do a nice 1-2 across the line. Lap traffic mixing things up. There's some front right damage for that BMW by the looks of it. It's not drastic. There's quite a bit of scuffing. There's some lap traffic. That's, I think, what they were doing, trying to cross at 1-2. Well done to Dylan Brown. Team 1-2 finish. Urquhart holds off Lynn, so that's only 2 spots away. So championship still within reach. Lynn does well, just missing out on a podium opportunity. Maya in P5, Tucker crosses in 6, Barshish in 7. Hyde in 8th. Gander's moved up a spot as well. He was in 10th when he came back in from that late pit. That's Hodgkinson right behind, across in P10. Waitley's only 1 more corner away. Teammates looking to cross closely with each other. Simpson's across the line. There's going to be some carnage. They're taking that traction control off and destroying the rest of those cars. And some well-earned victory donuts for Vandel. He's made contact with everyone in the world. The amount of smash up everyone goes for. Let's look at all that smoke. Well done to the guys. Fantastic run for our podium finishes, and we'll take a look at those standings now. And 30 laps at Laguna Seca sees Sebastian Vandel take the win, and then very nice and tight for those times going down, so some very close finishes. And on the podium in P2 is Seth Brown, and P3 is Blake Urquhart, and then our top 10 finishes is then Royce Lynn, Brendan Meyer, Sam Tucker, Dan Barshish, Ricky Hyde, Russell Gander and Callan Hodgkinson. And then a fair few drivers are back, multiple laps. There was a fair few tows costing a lot of time, like a very lengthy tow time at Laguna Seca. Those burnouts going on in the background. We'll see if we've got Seb Brown and Urquhart in here. And congratulations guys on a good podium finish for the team.
Cheers, JT. Yeah, it was a good race, racing with Seth tonight.
Yeah, and you had a little bit of a mistake too. That cost you a fair bit of that race lead.
Yeah, definitely. At the start of the race, made a bit of a mistake there. I was just trying to give Seth a little bit of a tow to help. I suppose pull away from Blake and I think it was Brendan. But once they sort of dropped off a bit and Seth and I had a lead, I decided to try go for fastest lap and went a bit deeper into turn one and sort of locked the brakes and spun it.
Yeah, and I think you'd already had the fastest lap too. I think you'd already set a 19.2, and then even with your off, I think you got 19.7. So it's still not far off considering.
Yeah, not far off, but yeah, I had to save a bit of fuel there towards the end of the race as well.
Yeah, so getting a bit tight then.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, it looks like a clean sweep. So yeah, 19.2 fastest lap of the race, scanning down through the list. So that's going to be pretty good considering you only came into the championship lead tonight with 3 points.
Yeah, definitely. Not sure what happened to Blake and Brennan there, but the race, but that'll give us a good buffer going into the final round of the championship.
Yeah, hopefully you can get a good qualifying result and try and push that lead out and no dramas.
Yeah, fingers crossed that's how it goes.
Yeah. And congratulations, Steph.
Yeah, thank you. I was kind of just maintaining pace, just more focused on keeping it on the track. I only had that one off track when I forgot to brake down into the corkscrew. But yeah, Blake was like slowly catching me, but I think he was just making a few mistakes. So he would catch me a few tenths, but then he would make a mistake, so I could kind of hold the gap. But yeah, kind of kept it there.
Yeah, he's had a pretty good nearly four-way battle for a good while at the start of the race too. That was allowing Seb to kind of pull away while you were all occupied with yourselves.
Yeah, well, definitely through T1, Blake was catching me a lot. I think that BMW's got some good braking stability, so it was getting a bit close, and Blake was right on me, so it was a bit of a tussle, but I think he made a mistake, and they kind of went backwards, and then after the pit stop, a bit of a buffer.
Yeah, so he had some pretty quick times in the pits. We're looking about an average of about 9 seconds. I think Seb you did 10.5 and Seth it's 9.6. So just enough fuel to be able to try and get you home.
Yeah, well, sort of trying to calculate the fuel because I don't have a fuel calculator, and Seth wasn't 100% sure if he's just going to put enough fuel in because in the draft it sort of ruins the fuel calculator a little bit because you save a bit, but
Yeah.
you both made it in the end, so that's what matters.
Yeah, just watching that dial as you're sitting in the pits ready to release yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but it paid off. Great finish. And Perks got the jump into the podium chat. must be out there wrecking the rest of his car. So, but yeah, good luck with the final round, and it's going to be the deciding round. So they'll be pretty close for points still. But it'll be a good way to finish off at Circuit of the Americas. See if the Porsches can put on a good show again. They seem to be doing quite well throughout the series.
Yeah, the Porsches seem to be pretty good, and we sort of found a good setup for the car that keeps it stable and easy to drive. So should be good going into the final round.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing it. Good luck, and congrats
Cheers,
on the
JT.
run tonight, guys.
So yeah, cheers.
Yeah.
There we have Sebastian Vandel, winner for round 4 and championship leader, and then Seth Brown taking podium in position 2, and then we didn't get Blake in the chat, but he took P3, so well done to our podium finishers, and we will be heading off to Circuit of the Americas to wrap up this series for the Pagnian Imports GTE Championship. It's going to be a great one to see. It'll be the deciding round. It'll be interesting just to see what happened with some of the stacks going that went on in the race as well, so do stay tuned for on our socials with the incident reports and results so we can see what's going on as we head into that final round and see out the GTEs. So thanks for tuning in, and then we do have more GTE action with Project Cars 2 Thursday night, so do jump on at 7:45 PM Australian Eastern Daylight Time and check out the guys on Project Cars. It'd be much appreciated. Thanks for tuning in, and see you trackside next time.